Nobody tells you this when you migrate to a new country. Sometimes when you go into a place, even though it's your office that you go in every single day, you feel like you're the most foreign person there. And for a long time, I believed that the difference between me and other people here are pushing other people away from me. But what I learned over and over again is this: difference does not block human connection. On the contrary, difference is the doorway to a deeper connection. When I first became a therapist in the US, I questioned myself constantly. Why would anyone on earth want to pick me, who looks different, who were brought in a different environment, and who speak English with a Chinese accent? I read a metaphor once that I think perfectly captures my experience. They were talking about finding a therapist is like going to grocery shopping, trying to find a vegetable. And what you have in mind is spinach, meaning maybe a white female therapist. And you go to the grocery store, you see carrots, which is me. And you think, okay, yeah, carrots is also a vegetable, but that's just not a vegetable that I want. So being a carrot who is extra self-conscious, I watch my accent, I monitor my grammar. I always try to pretend that I understand everything. And whenever a client made a cultural reference that I really don't understand, a lot of the time I would pretend that I understand by, smiling, nodding my head and But once in a while, a client would pause, look at me, and then pick up some minor cues from my face, and they would ask me, do you understand what I mean? There's always a tiny moment of pause where in my heart, I really don't want to admit that I didn't understand what you said, but at the same time, I feel so appreciative that this person, this client, was not just talking about themselves, they also cared about me and my experience. They considered me too. So for a lot of them, when they're genuinely look at me asking me if I understand, I would just be honest. I would say, no, I don't really understand what you mean. Can you explain it? And this moment of honesty opens a door for something bigger that I never imagined before. It deepens the connection between me and the other person who's sitting across me. Whether they are a client, an acquaintance, a coworker, the sense of distance between us suddenly shrank. All these years in school, being a mental health counselor, this program, we always say it's super white. The majority of people in the program are white female. And I think although we talk about diversity a lot in the program, a lot of things we learn are very white female-like. You were taught that a good therapist should sound natural, should sound like they genuinely care, and have the exact wording to make the other people feel better, which is just not me. So I began a journey to seek, how can I be a good therapist as Chinese living in the US? And the most important lesson I learned so far is from Brené Brown's talk and my real life experience. I call it radical authenticity, the courage to be exactly who you are in the room and let the other person see you as who you are instead of who you're trying to pretend to be or instead of how they want you to be. And that's when everything starts to change. When I first started working about a year ago, I was really struggling. I feel like it's not justified for someone to pay to see me when I am a carrot and they might be looking for spinach. But over time, something beautiful happens. The people who are actually looking for carrots found me. And believe it or not, they are also as weird, as outsider, as not belonging and not mainstream as I am. They saw me, they appreciate what made me me. And at the same time, they look for guidance, they look for wisdom from me to help them find the courage to become themselves. So almost with that pressure, I have to learn radically to accept myself, to know who I am, to live comfortably in my skin so that I can encourage someone else to do the same. And I would say a lot of things that make me finally accept who I am happen in my office, in the therapy room, happen between me and my clients. I know it sounds kind of weird because I'm a therapist, I'm supposed to make the other people feel better, right? But the truth is my client also make me feel home. Those moments when they pause, they look at me and ask me, sorry, I don't know how to say your name correctly. Can you teach me how to say it? And they repeatedly making this effort and promise me that I will get it right one day, I promise. They asked me what my name meant. They asked me to repeat a Chinese saying that just popped up in my mind in the middle of the session. I even have a client, at the end of each session, he will look at me and he asks me, so, do you have any Chinese saying for me today? And I so appreciate him saying that because it helps me to realize my background, my culture is not what separates us. It's something that other people also want to understand, also want to know. And it's so amazing to see that although we're so different, brought up in different culture, speaking different language with a different accent, we too can see each other and connect deeply with each other. And this is where my personal story becomes a universal one. I'm really honored to be a therapist so I can observe and experience deep human connection. And not a lot of people have this opportunity. And I understand nowadays that a lot of us are feeling lonely and isolated. You might be because you're an immigrant. It might be you're from an LGBTQ community. It might be you're neurodivergent or you struggle with some mental health problems. No matter what it is, I've heard a lot of people complaining about feeling lonely and isolated. And I hate to hear it because it's the worst thing that can happen to people, to feel like I'm walking this journey, this human journey alone on earth without any support or anyone see me. And if you feel this way, I want you to know this difference between you and others does not separate you from others. It only makes you closer to others. And here's why. When people start to open up emotionally, speaking from their heart, willing to be vulnerable, these are the moments you start to see what is actually make human human. We start to see that no matter you're American, you're Chinese, you're Korean, we all want to be loved and accepted by others. We all feel a little bit awkward or anxious when we step into a place where no one looks like us. And we all feel at home when we look at a room and it's like, oh my God, they all have black hair and black eye just like me. But at the same time, we all want connection with people. We all want to understand you grew up in a different culture, what's it like for you. We all want to provide opportunity for others to know us and to know others. And these things don't depend on watching the same childhood show when you grow up or having the same accent. There are so many moments when clients told me that you made my day. You really understand me, and you're one of the best therapists I've ever seen in so many years. A lot of this time, we looked at each other, watering in the eyes. And in those moments, something healed in me too. The connection was deep, not despite our difference, but because our difference. Here's the truth I never expected when I first became a therapist working in a foreign country. My clients helped me heal just as much as I helped them. They helped me to stop feeling sorry for my accent or wrong grammar. They taught me to stop hiding the part of me that I felt too foreign. They let my Chinese sayings and metaphor come naturally, which is so interesting because I've stayed here for such a long time that I almost feel like I forgot all of them. And the session just comes back to me and they embrace it. It also helped me to appreciate my culture way deeper. They remind me that belonging doesn't come from blending in. It comes from when two people just being themselves, being totally honest and respectful to each other. And this is something that I want every immigrant to understand deeply. That if you want to find belonging, stop pretending to be someone that you are not. Share your story, talk about your fear, and just be who you are and stand there. Someone will come to you, and these are the people who are your people. No matter how far away are you from home, you will find your people if you truly belong to yourself. People are drawn to realness, not sameness. And if someone don't like you just because you look certain way and speak certain way, it means they're not your people. It's not worth to make friends with them either. We are all outsiders in some part of our lives. And we all have to walk this journey on earth alone, but we can walk alone together. And once you understand that, connections becomes easier. And you just no longer worry so much about how other people perceive you because you know everyone worries about that. And if I could speak to every young immigrant therapist, every immigrant student, immigrant worker, I would say that your difference is your gift and your perspective is your power. And if you dare to reach out to be yourself, you will build connection. And the connection will be so deep precisely because you are not a copy of anyone else.